Hi everyone, Stephanie Newton here again, and I'm talking today about a remedy called Carcinosin. And I'm going to be talking about a case of PANDAS and a teenage boy and how Carcinosin really helped him to improve, helped his case to improve. Really quick though, before I start on that, if you don't know what homeopathy is, they're these little white pellets, or they come in white liquid tinctures, and they are not herbs and supplements and things like that. That's a common misconception about homeopathy, so I wanted to clear that up. You can see that video if you don't really know what homeopathy is. But in this case, let me share my screen. I will read the results before I read about the remedy. So the mom gave this synopsis about how he was doing, and she said that I could go ahead and talk about this. He was accepting and calm when we did not permit him to attend a party. Normally, this would make him very angry. He had a desire to organize and clean. He was demonstrating impulse control and restraint. He was making plans for his future. He wants to help people. This is new. He went to a church event with a new friend and invited friends over for Halloween. Both of these are significant. He hasn't done anything social in over a year. So that was really a big breakthrough with this remedy. He got reports from a teacher that he was more pleasant and interactive than usual. It is striking that he is no longer bringing up a friend that he lost, which he used to bring up daily. So these were really big. I think I've been working with this case for about a year, and we were able to reduce the rage very quickly to almost like a bare minimum. Sometimes like it's just not there. But socially things weren't budging too much. There were a couple breakthroughs, but then we'd lose it. And so this was a pretty big thing. Oh, you guys have to see this. My lizard is running around the house. Look at that. He ran in here like a little dog. That is so funny. He's like, I want to be a YouTube person, a YouTube lizard. So yeah, this was a big breakthrough in this case. This was really great. And it's like I said, it's not that we weren't having results before, but at some point in a case, there's a big breakthrough. Sometimes you're lucky enough that it's the first remedy. But sometimes, like I said, I think I've been working with this case for a year, if not maybe at least 9 months, something like that. I don't know if you guys can hear that. He's scurrying across my office. Okay, so let me talk about carcinosin. Now, this is a common one used for children with autism. It does help them to kind of come out of their shell and be more social. I hear that a lot, and it's just commonly used for those type of cases. So a carcinosin case, the people who would benefit from this remedy, they tend to be perfectionistic and fastidious. Or they're being raised, if it's a child, they're being raised by someone who's a perfectionistic, controlling parent. Now that perfectionism can kind of spill over to OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD tendencies. Not everybody has OCD, but sometimes we can have those tendencies, and that's the fastidiousness. They can be overwhelmed. They can be passionate, which leads them to overextend themselves. They can be sympathetic and feel guilty, and that leads them to be people pleasers. They have a fear of the unknown. They have a fear of failure. They worry about their health. They feel like they have an incurable condition, like whatever they're experiencing that feels incurable. So not hopelessness, but sort of like, I don't know if this is gonna, go away. They may have undergone chronic terror or fearful situations for a long period of time. That's sort of just a keynote feature of this remedy. They may have had to grow up early. So think of somebody who there was just a lot of responsibility put on them as a child. They kind of had to grow up early. So the way I see it is they sort of suppressed themselves to survive that level of responsibility. They had to grow up. They're sort of emotionally suppressed. Maybe they were being abused or are being abused. There's a history for some people. Now, again, not everybody's going to have all of these, okay? But the more they have, the more likely this carcinosin will be good. They have a history of caretaking someone sick, someone who is sick for a long period of time. They are worse for, oh, let me go back. They are suppressed. So they may have suppressed emotions or a suppressed immune system. So sometimes when somebody starts taking carcinosin, their immune system can kind of ramp up and start cleaning house, I like to say. So that's something to be aware of. And also emotions might start purging. That's pretty common actually, because they have suppressed emotions. Everything's just like suppressed and held in. And then everything starts to sort of unravel and spill out when carcinosin is taken. Now, we didn't really see that in this case. I think it's because he was just so ready for it. Um, and I do, I'm not to like toot my own horn, but I do very, very carefully choose potencies so that these sort of emotional eruptions don't happen. So I don't see a ton of what we call homeopathic aggravations in my practice because of the fact that I'm very careful with the potencies and how often I have people take it. What I try to do is really create a balance between being aggressive as possible so that we get results as quickly as possible, but not so aggressive that we're creating like massive detox or massive aggravations or massive like purge of emotions. But with carcinosin, that can happen because it's just for people who have suppressed emotions. And the only way they're going to start feeling better overall is to get that out and sort through it, like put it out on the table and sort through it. So that's sort of what can happen. In this remedy, they may feel worse for being reprimanded. They may feel worse for being consoled, and they may feel worse for anticipation. So sort of like when they're anticipating an event, it can kind of like flare up whatever symptoms they have. They may have a history of cancer or a family history of cancer or a fear of cancer. So there's sort of like a cancer theme in some of these cases. Yeah, those are the main things. And again, it sounds like a lot, but you'll know when you see a case like that. And if you are listening and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you just described me, you could try this remedy. I would suggest if you're going to try it on your own, try it at like a 30C, 200C at the most. You're probably going to want to make sure that you can get in with a homeopath relatively quickly in case it does bring up emotions, and then you want to like talk to somebody to see how to proceed in the potency and the dosing after that. But I am starting to get to a point where I'm suggesting that people dabble in treating themselves, because it's, for some people, it's the only way they're ever going to take the leap to try homeopathy. Sorry about the glare in my glasses. I always have to tilt them up so you guys can see my eyes. Yeah, some people need to dabble before they're going to want to invest in a homeopath. So especially in cases like PANDAS and complex conditions, they've seen so many people before, they often aren't getting results. So by the time they get to homeopathy, they're like, oh my gosh, another, $300, $600, like, ay. So I'm starting to get to the point now where I just want to say, just dabble, just try it. So what I'm reading from here, I just want to mention is this is my new Homeopathy for Pandas, Pans, Flares course. This course is going to start March 15th, but if you are watching this before Black Friday of 2020, there's a Black Friday deal going on. So my starting price or, fee is going to be a lot less. So I'm not going to read off what the fee is in case you watch this like another year and the price is different. But if you pay in 2020 by Cyber Monday, you'll get a discount. You can see that on my website if you go to stephanienewtonhomeopathy.com/courses. And the reason I'm writing this course and starting this course on March 15th is because I see a lot of complex cases, and PANDAS, it's sort of a sawtooth healing effect. And we hear that with all modalities with PANDAS, but it really is true with homeopathy, because in the beginning, a lot of kids or people are going to experience ups and downs, and that can go on for months to years, but they're overall trending down. And what I mean by that is the frequency of their flares is getting less, and the extent or the severity of the flares is getting less. That's the pattern that I see. Whether or not they can be cured of PANDAS depends on a lot of lifestyle factors, and you can see that video for more information on that. But in general, there's going to be flares. And so usually whenever there's a flare happening, people have to come back to me for a consultation, which is not the end of the world. I mean, I'm not thousands of dollars, but some people just, they want to be able to handle this on their own, especially if the flare happens at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday and you can't get in with me until Monday or Tuesday, or get in with your homeopath until then. That's a long 3 days to be dealing with a PANDAS flare. If you know PANDAS, you know what I'm talking about. So this course is for people to be able to get on top of a flare and at least calm it down before you can get in with a homeopath. It's not necessarily meant for somebody to like, okay, I'm going to treat PANDAS by myself and I'm going to keep treating PANDAS by myself. Now, I'm not going to say that can never happen. There might be cases that just resolve, and then they just, every time there's a new flare, the parent or the person can get on top of it themselves. That would be somebody who's intuitive, who just, they naturally are do-it-yourselfers, and they just, keep plowing through until they get the job done. Maybe somebody can take this course and do that. But most likely, this is going to be for the purpose of this course is to help in that moment of crisis to grab some remedies and calm it down. And that is entirely possible. I actually did that a lot with my own kids when we first started using homeopathy. I didn't want to depend on my homeopath. She was very busy. And I mean, I'm a little cheap. I didn't want to pay for the follow-ups all the time. And I didn't quite understand the process either. I think if I understood the process better back then, I would have done more consultations, but I just did a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. And I never took a course or anything like that. So, and by the way, this class would be good to pair with my homeopathy for do-it-yourselfers course, because in that course, I am going to be talking more about how to manage a case long-term. So pairing this with that course would give you more of an ability to do that. But let's talk about this one real quick, because this is a great starting point. This is what you will receive when you sign up for this course is entry into an interactive Google Classroom with me and the other students for about 5 weeks. That may change. Sometimes I add on to the courses. There will be 4 or 5 pre-recorded lessons, one released each week. There will be 2 live Q&A sessions at weeks 2 and 4 or 2 and 5. We'll just see like when people are available. And then there will be a course handbook, a digital course handbook, so that you have something to refer to in that moment of crisis. These remedies that I'm going to be teaching can also be used for moms and family members too. So, keep that in mind. Because when your kids are tanking, you're in crisis too. Been there, done that. And it doesn't hurt for you to take a remedy as well. So here is a topic breakdown. You can look at that if you want to. And then who would benefit from this course? I sort of already talked about that. Whether or not you have a homeopath, you would probably benefit from this course to begin with. But if you don't have a homeopath, you might be able to start the process and then want to hire a homeopath just to have on board to be able to refer to pretty quickly, because once you're already established with somebody, you can get in quicker than if you're brand new usually. And that's about it. So just know that that's available. My other courses are here. I also have a free ebook and classes if you want to look at my website on that. And thanks for listening. And I will talk to you guys soon. All of my free stuff and all my links are below. Bye-bye.